this is the 6th podcast. First thing, I need to start looking into like putting this on other platforms as well. Because I mean, something where you don't have to play the
IGTV.
video. No, something you don't have to play the video.
Don't
You
you have
can
it on
just listen
something?
to it.
What is this, like podcast apps? I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, there's this thing, Anchor, just get through. You can distribute it to other platforms, but I just haven't made the effort. Neither do I have the time right now to do that. So inshallah after Jan, I'll look into that. But
Bro, I wish I had chocolate milk.
same, same.
I just
Um,
went to my fridge. I looked for it, but it wasn't there.
People
okay,
cold chocolate milk or warm chocolate? Cold.
Cold, yeah. What
cool.
the hell type of question is
Yeah.
that?
Ajay, 1 second.
Hot
One
chocolate
Wait,
question.
no,
is
stop. Wait. I know that we're having some very like complex discussions, but Nabil, you idiot. Business's thing is warm chocolate milk is hot chocolate, you idiot.
yeah.
I know, but like hot chocolate or a cold chocolate milk, like
Yeah. So don't think, I don't know why, but the word
same
for
thing, bro.
you
It's a
used
synonym. It's the same
warm
thing.
chocolate milk made me feel so uncomfortable. It sounded like something khatab.
Nabil makes everyone uncomfortable.
That
Sorry,
that 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 is
sorry.
true. That is
Controversial
very
guy.
true.
Controversial guy. Yeah, but... Wait, sixth
Um,
Okay.
episode, isn't this fifth?
no, 6th. I recorded
Oh no,
one
we
which
had a
is
secret episode. Yeah, we
yes.
had a removed episode.
No. I didn't remove it. I just put it back on.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, okay.
so
Yeah.
today's thing is like imagining a world without countries. So though this whole idea came from, I had a talk with my cousin about like all forms of like government वगैरह and everything that's happening in the world or जो भी, and then we started thinking कि, like जितनी violence वगैरह है, like countries fighting with each other, um, would the world be better without these borders and without these countries? So right now a lot of people, like when you ask them like describe yourself in one word, some people go like based on religion, some people actually choose a proper word, and some people like name their nationality or ethnicity, jo bhi.
Yeah.
um
Saad, you
so
said Muslim, yeah?
what?
I think when Saad asked this, your initial answer was Muslim. So even you said like their religion.
So
Yeah.
it was like matlab, um he also, like my cousin brought up a book in which like the guy was talking about if humans were still like hunter gatherers, so how would like the world be? And the book's name was Sapiens. I forgot who was it by.
Oh, it's really good. I think it's called Will. Wait, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so basically we started talking about that, and I thought it'd be an interesting topic to talk about because
I think it might be by William Dalrymple. I don't know though, but he's like a historian. It's good.
so
I'll
that's also
confirm
part
that.
of my reading list. But so I was talking to him, and it was like there's a lot of pros and cons of having and not having countries because
Wait, no, I was wrong. The book I was talking about is called Anarchy. This book, *Sapiens*, is by Yuval Noah Harari. He's
Gothic
Israeli.
name. Oh,
हाँ.
oh.
Oh shit.
Nice.
नहीं तो क्या बोलते हैं, what do you guys think, like would you prefer a world without borders or what's up, or would you prefer like this whole country system वगैरह?
It's an interesting concept for sure, but I just feel like there'd be so much chaos and anarchy. Like even right now, there is so much chaos, but it's like some sort of stability on the surface of it.
One thing, like another thing that popped up was, so these days मतलब, I watch a lot of videos about people talking about their uni essays because some of them are actually interesting. And one uni has a prompt where it's like talk about a significant challenge society faces today. And out of like 10, 7 of them were the problem with society is that people are so like attached to their country, their religion or what's up, and वो ego और power की चीजें आ जाती हैं, तो there's no collaboration between cultures and countries, and that prevents like मतलब development. And there's like this idea of politics and okay, I'm a Pakistani, that guy's an Indian, I can't like matlab, interact with him or like work with him or stuff like that. So that is one of the biggest problems society faces. And to some
Even
extent,
in
I wouldn't say biggest, but that is a problem like I think society faces a lot. So yeah.
even in John Lennon's song, which I'm sure we're all familiar with because of the school thing. Imagine. He says that now, like imagine a world without countries. So like even he think it'll be much better without.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually gonna. So when Zubair, when you messaged this thing on the group, the idea, the first thing that came to mind with, um, as a history student, bro, communism in its pure form. Obviously, it's an ideology that's like utopian and can't be actually implemented. But communism in its pure form, which John Lennon was drawing upon, because John Lennon's Imagine is basically about communism. But what what happens in the eventual state of communism is that it gets to this point where there's a state of statelessness. There's no more governments, like large governments, and what happens is that because the word communism comes from community, right? So there's
Hmm.
each community is like communes, like they govern themselves. So for example, if there was a Pakistan, there would be no Pakistani government, but rather that there would be like each, like for example, each phase of defense, like phase 7 commune, phase um, 8 commune, Clifton like block this commune. So there's these different communes, and then within the communes, the people of that community rule themselves. So that's why this, like like lots of people in Balochistan feel like their rights are not being represented by the state government. So
Yeah.
this is this is like a way that people can they govern themselves, they choose their own decisions, they decide what they are going to grow, what they want to make, what they want to. And I mean, obviously, I don't think in modern society is completely possible because of you have to have like economies of scale doing like industry, but that's the hypothetical thing that they want to work towards. And another thing that I thought of was that, bro, we have been born in a world where there have been nations for how many thousands of years. We see the world in the lens of countries. Like that's how we see the world. Like, and not even in a good way or a bad way, but like we see the UN as like something that's just there, and it's or like when we think of like global collaboration, we think of like countries working together and like stuff like World Cup, for example.
Yeah.
But and I also think this is probably like heightened because Pakistanis um, are kind of nationalistic. But this is something we just take for granted that the world is made of countries and countries are like that. Like um, doesn't have like no one said that that's how it's supposed to be. Like we don't. That's just something that it's easy for us to take these like things that are in the world and just say, "Acha, that's how it is." But like, who said it's like that?
Yeah. One
Um,
one of my questions was gonna be that do you think that like the amount of chaos right now, for example, India, China, Kashmir ka issue, all the other countries as well, like Israel, Palestine, etc. Do you think that these kind of like there'll be more chaos or less if there were no countries? Because like it sounds like an amazing thing, because then no one's gonna like matlab, the there won't be the sense of belonging to a specific group or country and be like, acha, because of our political reasons, I'm against that person. But then again, wo thought aata hai, like we've studied Pakistan war studies, and a time where India had like Mughals, they had Rajput, they had all of these different matlab empires, ya jo bhi, kingdoms, jo bhi. It wasn't like matlab, I don't know, it wasn't like the most peaceful time either. Because there was
Yeah,
always this
there's so much.
one authority figure that wanted, like, who a specific group like supported, that guy wanted to increase in influence or what's up. And उसमें ये भी idea आ जाता है that um, if I have an image of an ideal world, I'd want the world to be like that. I'd want to work towards that. And so that might lead to me getting with a group. That might lead me to increase my influence. And if people are against me, the world we live in, of course, is going to get like violent, वगैरह.
No,
So
but even before like the concept of countries, like even when, for example, when I just feel like there's still like different skin color, different ethnicities, and it just that, and even like you said, there's always going to be some group in power. I feel like that's just how stuff works. Like especially with humans, there always has to be some like figurehead, right, to
hmm.
like really make things function. So there'll always be some political like thing over who wants to like rule, who wants to lead, and even without countries, there's still like yeah, skin color,
Yeah,
ethnicities, religion,
one thing I agree with, like, यही है कि people will always be divided. ठीक है?
divided. Yeah,
Yeah, if there's no country, that doesn't mean like everyone's like living together and everything. People will then be divided on वही skin color. They'll be divided on religion and divided on people who they मतलब support. Like
support.
for
So do you think that
example,
would heighten that?
I don't know, like मतलब this idea of countries वो सब like बहुत पहले starts like that ना कि okay, let's say there are 10 people, and there are two leaders. Both of them have different opinions. I agree with one, you agree with the other. And so I start getting connected with that person more. And so we divide. And so each group's influences increase. And the group gets bigger and bigger. And they claim a specific land. Or wo karte karte karte, matlab, then there's that divide. And you
Yeah,
like to make it more clear, you go like, okay, this part is for my people and that part is
yeah.
for you. And is
Establish your
that
borders.
idea,
Yeah,
is that idea of
Like
not wanting to collaborate or like changing their opinion or being open minded, so that also creates the divide.
So to sum up what both of you are trying to say, I mean, what I'm gathering is that humans are social animals, and by like inherently, we just we identify with other people. And so what I take from that is that so if there was this state of statelessness, it would have to be imposed in some way. It wouldn't be natural, and it wouldn't be like
Hmm.
because the thing is, if you go back in history when it was like this, the fact of the matter is that we reached this point in time because naturally humans have a tendency to collect in countries. So the only way you could stay in this equilibrium of statelessness would that have to be imposed either by some type of like one government over
Yeah.
all. Yeah, that's possible. Or
Oh, one
I
thing.
don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, like I was thinking about this the other day as well. Okay, for everyone to live in unity, there'll have to be this one figure everyone has to accept, and that complete authority, which in our religion is God. ठीक है? But because everyone has different religions, दूसरा, in our religion, like matlab, we believe that there is God, but we can't see him or what's up. He cannot like matlab, I don't know how to say this without.
If such a government did exist, I personally think it would have to be secular. Like I don't necessarily agree with secular governments, but in if you want to have a encompassing entire world government, like a new world order or something, it would have to be secular. You can't have
you think you have
one
to
state.
like America separate state from like religion,
Ye-
right?
Yeah, because exactly because if that did happen, then there would be too many like religious. Because again, people identify with people, and then they have form these groups. So if you created something like that where they felt like they were being their rights were being like curtailed, then they would form a revolution. So you'd have to be like you'd have to create like a non-stateless this like
Yeah,
state.
so what I was saying is that going back to what you said, Shuru, there'll have to be this one authority. So that
Yeah.
got me thinking, pehle, like, बहुत pehle, I remember that if we're so divided, like for example, even in a country that is, let's say, completely Muslim or completely Hindu or completely Christian, there's still a lot of divide there because then they find other reasons for like division. And I used to think, okay, if there's this idea of heaven or sub, how will there be no chaos or like disagreements वगैरह there? And it was that idea that by the time we reach there, everyone knows about the main authority, which is God. ठीक है? And everyone chosen to go to heaven will agree with like God or what's up. So everyone agreeing to one thing creates this idea of unity or what's up, and there's only one figure with power who can impose this idea of statelessness, and all of that. And that's why like the idea of heaven, whether like it'll be everyone will live in harmony or there will be unity and all of that stuff because there's
So do you
one
think that like
ultimate power.
do you think like religion is the biggest thing that unites people together then, more than race, more than country?
Unite and
If you
divide.
hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
if,
it. Yeah.
Daniel say.
No, I'm just saying like it'll bring more unity within the groups, right? Because they're different groups and
within the
obviously
group,
being
yeah.
unified.
But
Yeah.
amongst different groups, yeah, more division.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can draw a comparison between this and like in individual countries also there are like arguments about how like there should be central power, there should be divided powers among like federations. Like so for like provinces, for example, demand more provincial autonomy, and like some people argue that there should be a central government that has government like the government is placed like a Pakistani government, all the powers in Islamabad, and I mean that similar like parallel can be drawn between like Pakistan, like the world. Like people might argue for having countries with more power, or they might argue like a new world order type thing. But one way I want to push the direction in is that bro, illegal immigration is such a big thing, right? Like people are like they talk about their countries like they want to defend national interest. They're like, oh, if people come from Afghanistan to Pakistan, they're going to steal our jobs. They are going to they're against illegal immigration because of having countries. They want to defend their own
Yeah.
country, and not only in immigration but also in like trade, right? They want to buy locally, but the fact of the matter is that people will always be drawn towards the place with the best conditions. That's why people always want to migrate to America. They want to migrate to Europe. They want to migrate to Australia. If and then there's always this border disputes. If there was no borders, then people could be free to go to whichever country they want to, wherever their best conditions.
Yeah, but one thing, um, if if there was a world without, let's say, countries or borders, वगैरह, um, there, मतलब you could say like chaos वगैरह कम होगा वो सब, but if throughout history there was no such thing as countries and all of that stuff, so there wouldn't be this much development as well. Because,
Yeah,
मतलब,
because a lot of developments from competition. Then.
yeah,
I think naturally we just tend to humans tend to like as we spoke about before. There always tends to be some like leader figure, even in within families, like on a micro scale, microcosm scale. Like there's always like a matriarch or patriarch of the family, like one parent or like both at times always like lead things. So that's like on
Just,
a
just to,
smaller scale.
just to strengthen what Nabil is saying, in
Yeah.
psychology, there's this study, Milgram study. It's very influential. People might have heard about it. He basically he got people into these like rooms, and there was like a fake person in a chair with electricity, and the participants were told to keep shocking the person in the chair. And there was no actual electricity, but the person who was standing next to them kept telling them, "Okay, like shock him." And because they were in this, they were wearing the lab coat, they were in the lab, they had that authority. So the thing is that um, even for example in Nazi Germany, when there was all these people got blamed for war crimes, they all said, I was just doing my job. So what Nabil is saying about like people have this like natural tendency to
Yeah.
go towards like authority. Yeah, it's like psychologically proven that people just go towards like they are naturally like we have this social order. that is ingrained in us. And when you walk into a new room, the first thing you analyze is, okay, like, who's in charge over here? How am I supposed to act? And like that's like something that just naturally happens. So
Yeah. And also realistically, this is kind of off topic, but I don't know if you guys have heard of these experimental communities. Like there's one in India called Auroville or something. It's like a small enclosed community where people from all over the world come, and they themselves have decided, like, like a complete global thing. There's no proper like government and stuff. People do what they want, and they
Out of
all
all
yeah,
contribute.
places,
there's
why
lots.
India?
Yeah, I don't know. I was
Even
just
in
watching it
Spain,
on.
even in
If
Spain,
Spain
there's
has
this
one, yeah, in the
territory where
caves.
there's like like, they believe that they're a communist nation in itself. I think Ansu Fati's father immigrated there. Um,
Yeah, I've heard there's
Basically,
one in Spain, one in US,
there are
one
lots
in
like
the
around the
US.
world. Yeah, they just
But
Yeah,
वो
even
ही
Charles
है
Manson did something like that.
yeah, I
all
know.
the time. Yeah.
Wait, so are
One
the
thing,
people in the
with that,
community?
well, yeah, go Danu.
No, I'm saying, are the people in the community, like in India, for example, are they all Indian, or do people from around the world
No,
come?
all over the world. It was made by this European
That's pretty
lady, I
cool.
think. It's called Auroville. You can
Yeah,
look it up.
so one thing, वो ही होगा ना,
Yeah,
like
wait.
for example, you had a community in, let's say, just say in Pakistan, ठीक है? Um, the government feels like they're acting as a threat to, मतलब, of course, they're not just gonna cut off all interactions from people around. That's not possible. You have to bring things in, you have to trade, all of that stuff. And they change their ideas with other people over. So the government finds that a threat, and so they're going to act on it and destroy that as well, because that ruins the image of the leaders have of this country, vagara. So I mean that is also something that's not really going to function.
Yeah, but like realistically, do you think that I think that's like the only way for something so a community to like actually exist without borders, like within a country, but like a small enclosed community.
Mm.
Because I don't think like a global big community with
Because there'd
everyone
be so
under
much
one roof.
geographical like
Yeah,
separation also, right?
even
I
different mindsets, ideas, cultures. I don't think that's possible, honestly.
I have a question. Okay, so imagine there was this this world. Okay, the world, just one day you wake up, entire world government is different now, and there's small communal governments of like each, like I was talking about before, like each phase or each city has their own government, and then there's a like a international world government. What powers would you allocate to each? Like, for example, I mean, there's like obvious ones, like looking after like roads and stuff should go to the city governments, and then like looking after um like
But I feel like उसमें भी um there'll be a lot of divide.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, like, what do you think? Give you like things.
Wait, so
Do you
okay,
think,
this
okay, do you
is
think there should be like one currency for all, or should each like city government have their own currency?
One currency for all.
yeah,
I
that would
think
make it more
this isn't a
uniform.
Because
Okay,
it's
so
still a
let's
good
say,
what about like
idea.
a
well, for example, may I isme, like I wanted to bring this as well, like a country, like a world without countries or sub, and then one currency. So, for example, Pakistan's currency, its value is shit, ठीक है? And उससे फिर चीजें ये होती हैं that you start increasing tax and you do this and that, and currency और उससे like competition भी होता है across countries वगैरह and वो सब. If you had one currency, that would help businesses grow so much and all of that. Because let's say, for example, there's a business here which in Pakistan which can help the world, jo bhi cheez ho, like for example minerals, yeah, something related to that. Pakistan's very rich in that, all like minerals वगैरह. But there, since there's different currencies in Pakistan की economy shit है वो सब, tax बहुत ज़्यादा है, and so the person who would have started that company, मतलब, he loses that encouragement to do it, or it's more difficult for him. And this kind of shit, matlab, I don't know how to explain it.
what about like a
That
police
delves
force?
more into economics and stuff, right?
Should the police
Like,
force be
yeah.
like overarching, like, and like should there be like one set of laws for all, or should there be like local police forces, like with sheriffs
local.
and stuff. Okay,
Because
what about
we,
education?
wait, one thing, these things like police, वो education और वो सब, education के लिए there should be some aspects that should be similar for everyone. But क्या बोलते हैं, it should be more community specific. Like each community has their own needs. Each community
There's
will
own
have a
problems. Yeah.
specific, yeah, problems, will have their own type of work. And having one general police force or वो सब, उसमें ये भी हो जाता है ना, like, you know, like the police in America.
Yeah, exactly. These are the type of like ideas I'm drawing these questions upon. What
Yeah.
about school curriculums, like language and or like
Yeah.
education?
Imagine if everyone spoke just one language.
I think that's how it would probably have to
Ooh.
be.
That'd be pretty
There
cool.
were efforts for this to happen. The
There's
UN
a
made this like language, which is the easiest
yeah,
language for the world to speak.
I
It's
forgot what it
like
was called. Like, I remember this also.
That's not
yeah, and
possible though, realistically, because of culture, history,
Hmm.
literature, and
yeah,
stuff. No
people
one would
people would
want to
fight
give
for
that
their
up.
language. But I mean, you could always
Yeah,
have like a first language, which is this for like international communication, and then like
that'd be really cool. Yeah.
have like you learn your second languages, which is like your country ka language. I mean,
But is
people
it
everywhere around the world know
English kind of
English.
becoming? Yeah, English is kind of becoming that language, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that English is really hard for people who don't speak English to learn.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
There's
Everyone
one
but I
knows
thing,
mean,
that.
like if you bring in that language or UN kara wo sab, it's gonna be very hard because a, you know how for example वो हमारे स्कूल में a lot of people don't speak Urdu that well क्योंकि उनके घर में people don't speak Urdu that well. For if you bring that language in, a, teaching adults is much harder than teaching children because I mean children learn faster, and in a house where matlab, because the parents can't learn that language that quick, they still use their local language, so the kid is constantly in that environment of using their local language, and so they won't see any importance in that international language, तो उससे matlab there won't be any development.
Or just make
what
a
about,
translating device or something, honestly.
yeah,
Yeah,
there
that
are
would,
like there is so
yeah,
I don't know what comes some
there's so
company
many.
made something like that. You wear it and the person in front of you.
But like, you
Okay,
know how
but
Saad is going. Wait, I
I'll
just
give
have
you
one
one
thing.
last and then comment on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
What about
Okay.
agriculture and like commerce? Should the big government decide like all the others, like who grows what in which ilaka, or should the local people say, okay, no, we want to grow this?
उसमें वही मसला है, what are the relations between each local community with each other? Let's say if I can grow rice or wasab and the other ones can grow wheat, I want wheat, but they're not ready to like exchange wasab. So I'll also have to start producing it for myself and be self-sufficient. And
Yeah,
मगर उसमें ये भी मसला होता है. I wanted to bring this up as well. The idea of like having these small communities. My community, because of geographic reasons, I'm going to have specific resources that the
Mm-hmm.
other community won't, and they'll have specific resources that I won't, and there's not
that's the whole
one plot
reason
of
there's
land.
like
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
whole
that's the whole
reason
reason
trading stuff.
international communism is based on this whole concept. If you humanity doesn't have to be self-sufficient, they can just that's the whole idea of it. Like, but continue.
तो उसमें ये है कि there's not one like there's not specific land jahan you can get all minerals, you can grow all crops, you have like watery, there are perfect conditions for each kind of plant, for each kind of like specific work, etc. And of course, like matlab, I'd want to expand my area so I can get more land which is more resourceful in my work, so that'll
That
also
concept is
start.
like in so many games also.
Yeah,
Which
the
game? I'm forgetting. But like it's like expansion. Oh,
hmm.
you have unlocked gold mines, like
A
stuff.
new
Like
Clash of Clans.
Yeah, kind of.
But
Nabil, you were saying something before.
yeah, I was saying that okay, you're what if okay, imagine for example one day you woke up and you saw fucking aliens, okay? Would you think like an internet like a different threat from like
Yeah, bro,
outside this planet would that
Mazak ke
It
alawa, I
unite
was
would
just
us?
about to say
definitely
this that
unite us, right?
when we colonize like different planets and stuff, that's the only point where I see something like this like actually ever taking effect. Like when
You
we
see
colonize
actual
different
aliens. Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about like aliens, but like
Think
I was
about it,
thinking
bro.
ki, acha, like space colonization is like we see it as like inevitable, but like just a matter of like when and how.
It's like a
So the
step
thing is
further.
like yeah, and the thing is like if we do colonize different planets, would the future be like each planet is like its own government and there's
Yeah, I
like
think
instead
that's
of
how it
like
would be.
Because that वो you know, like I said before, specifics will have to be based on the environment of the community. And this is not even one planet, different lands. It's like completely different worlds. They'll have to have
Yeah.
different ways of functioning. They'll have to have different, like, basic चीजें. Each planet has different conditions. ठीक है? Your social activities, the type of work you can do there, the way you act, etc., will also depend on that. You have to do it based on your environment. So there can't be like this one, like, हाँ ये हो सकता है कि for example specific human rights की चीजें, yes you can have something like that, but other like specifics of ruling or government won't be possible.
okay,
One thing that
one oh, sorry, Tanya, go.
no, no, it's fine. So what you're
I
saying.
was saying one overarching question. Like before we continue this discussion, but like just one overarching question: yes or no? Do you think a world without governments could work? I'm not even asking if it's a good idea or a bad idea. I'm just asking if you think it could work.
Bro, anything can work. It's just that it's not gonna be that
I
good.
don't think so.
I don't think so because we
'Cause
graduate and like eventually come to this point with countries
नहीं,
regardless.
क्या बोलते हैं, oh yeah, one other thing, like I'll continue with what you said, but you know when you asked about that education wali cheese, like should there be education like for wo?
Yeah, yeah.
Education for each community will have to be somewhat similar because idea wohi dekh lo. Universities etc. in America are much better than other parts of the world. ठीक है? And specific institutes are amazing. If my education is completely different, if I'm taught a different language, I'm taught different subjects, I'm taught completely different views, वगैरह, I won't be able to go there.
Yeah, I mean, there would have to be some element of standardization,
Yeah,
but the masla is that if it was the same syllabus, people fight about that all the time. People don't want to be taught things like with Western values, or they don't want to be taught things which are like
those are okay. So
spiritual.
I don't I don't experience any of that because I have sciences and math. और उसमें there's not really much मतलब
Like,
तो
because it's all fact.
Yeah.
It's not like
Different.
bias. It's not
Yeah.
personal bias with
Yeah, but
different
like, okay,
countries.
I think what we can draw a lot of similarities is between the Indian subcontinent before partition. For example, we were talking about languages. I mean, why wouldn't it make sense for all of the Indian subcontinent to speak one language? But the issue is that they have so many different um, cultures and subcultures that they had full-on wars about stuff like this. There was this whole um, with Urdu also. Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan did so much work to preserve Urdu as a country and like I mean Urdu as a language
Urdu is
and
a country.
yeah, but
Bro.
but you get what I mean. Like there's this the difference. There's going to be this clash between
तो
like efficiency and like preservation of culture.
तो उसका best way ये है कि okay एक चीज when you teach history वगैरह that's going to be the most difficult thing because although history has a lot of facts or वो सब कि ये event हुआ था, simply the facts won't help us. It's like the details that help us learn or वो सब, ठीक है? Reasons behind things, why this happened, if someone was right or wrong, वगैरह. तो that's gonna be different for each like community because it'll be like
Yeah.
what they
Different
believe in.
perspectives.
Huh.
Yeah.
And Magar, again, if you make that the idea of small communities, you can divide it. World history and जो international चीजें होती हैं, there is just one view on that. And for you can have specific subjects, community specific, like the history of our community and stuff like that. And then that can be unique for each different like community.
So, like, different schools of thought for history, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean to be fair, like when you study history in like A levels, that is what you're learning. Like there's like in then like right now also like we learn about like historiography, which is like this history of like this history of history and like how different people throughout different times have had different schools of thought and like revisionist, post-revisionist, traditionalist, like blah blah blah. Um, that aside, one thing that I wanted to comment on was before someone said that if there was these like statelessness, there would be more anarchy and chaos. I don't know if that was like Nabil or
Yeah,
Danya.
I said that. Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, the thing is that they will all this just like um brainstorming.
Mm.
There will always be conflict, right? Like that's the inevitability of mankind. But if you break it down in states, you're also diluting that conflict. So things won't become such a grand scale ka masla. There'll just be like small tussles between like city states, and because of international pressure, they kind of like die down. And because of the fact that they're such small city states, they have to cooperate, and so there wouldn't be that much like
तो वही
it's kind of like
if it builds up frustration, so then it'll lead on to something bigger like fighting, and then इस तरह ही करके the more stronger community will get to take over other communities and grow उस तरह, and so the problem becomes bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah, but then you reach states like you make so many alliances, then this alliances join together and it becomes like states in the first place. Like for example, Europe, it was a collection of small communes, but then all the Germanic um, states came together and made Germany. That's the whole thing. Like I'm saying, if you were working towards this like statelessness, it would have to be imposed in some way. You'd have to make a thing like some rules or some reason that you can't do that. You can't have all the like Muslim countries create one Muslim superpower. You can't have all the European powers create the
Okay, wait.
European.
So, like, basically, I agree with what you're saying. There's always going to be conflict, and I'm glad you brought this up because I wanted to say this as well. I just feel like states or no states, that doesn't matter. I feel like what really matters at the end of the day is like how much tolerance we have for people, because people will always be different now without states. I'm not trying to make kids happy, but I feel like it boils down to how much tolerance and open-mindedness people have. Like
That was
that's
really
what
cute,
the issue
Nabil.
is.
I agree with you.
No, but like
But like,
yeah.
Naveed, you know how you were saying that, like, I think you said this, that even if we did have a world without any countries, it would eventually like develop into a world with
We,
countries, right? Like, because of all the conflict. But like,
yeah.
I think starting off in like a more open-minded like view, right? That there are no countries, and that like right now we'll have access to more knowledge, like everywhere in the world. Like it would develop into like a lot more different than it is right now. Like with countries, would be probably. Do you think it'd be more united?
One thing. पहले तालियां. Daniel said something extremely long for the first time. Alhamdulillah. Yes. Nabil, continue.
No, bro, that was just my entire thing. Like, I just feel like the issue isn't states; it's just about people's mindsets and perspectives. Like, yeah,
Okay, Nabil, like I agree with you, but that's so overarching. Like I mean, like that's like
I know. So
saying
I
like
wanted to bring this up
the
at the
answer
end.
to the world is like love. You know, everyone like loves each other. Everything will be fine. That's all you need to know. Beta, like I mean, yeah, no shit. Like you're
Yeah,
right, but it's also like not as
Bro,
reductionist.
wait, if you have this like community together, and like what I agreed on was like currency like being same for everyone. Subjects like economics वगैरह मतलब a lot of a huge chunk of such subjects will also be gone.
yeah, like inflation
Yeah, but
and
that's because they like these subjects as in nature are like responsive. They're responding to human like conditions and trying to explain what's around you. So they change be like like you like the economics we study right now is hugely different from the economics that was the staple part of a curriculum like 100 years ago. So that's like natural. That would happen anyways.
you're the only one who takes econ here, so like, yeah,
Like, one
none of
Yeah,
thing
us
but
do.
like
one
not
other
only
thing
econ, like all subjects.
was like okay फिर इसका एक मसला भी होगा कि if you have one currency तो of course communities are going to trade between each other, ठीक है, and my community grows wheat, yours grows like apples, जो भी apples are more expensive than wheat. I'm going to end up like start earning less than you, so like that's also going to cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, but I mean, this personally, I think that something like this question is so nuanced. You'd have to go into like so many like economic like formulas and stuff. But yeah, having different currencies has the benefit that it helps regulate like you if you had like one currency, there'd be like different changes that would like be really confusing to someone in like one part of the world because he's responding like the currency is responding to something happening so someone like nothing to do with him. Even in Pakistan you can see this, for example, like the rupee keeps going up and people try to explain it by saying this is because we have so much debt to be paid. But at a local level, like people don't understand that. They're like, yaar, ye Imran Khan tomato 200 rupees ka ho gaya, isko chamar maro. Like like they don't get that. Like you'd have to like there. I think if I want to be like Nabil and I want to give like a nice little answer to like the world's problems, I'd say, bro, education is like
Education.
one thing. Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to
because
like,
tolerance. Yeah, even for tolerance, you need education. Even lots of okay. I was discussing this
Yeah,
with someone else the other day. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to talk about that. But basically, it's like even with so many like religious groups and stuff, why there's so much divide and stuff is because of lack of their own religion, education, lack of education about their own religion. Sometimes people don't like understand exactly what the religion is trying to say. They perceive it in a different light, or they don't see it fully in context. So it's like education also. But yeah, I agree. But also I have another question. I saw this like once, I think on Khatti story. I don't know, I saw it like a while ago. Do you think like people have the right to be proud of the country that they're born in, as in, I don't know how to phrase this. I say, as in, like, we're randomly born into a country. Like,
yeah,
none
that's
of us
that's a
chose
bit,
to be
yeah, it's
Pakistani.
very normal. People always talk about like
Yeah,
whole logic behind like nationalism. Like, is there a point to
national.
be
Yeah,
nationalistic? Or, acha,
is there?
nationalism has like negative connotations, but like even something as simple as being like patriotic. Is there a point in being patriotic? Like, why the shit should you be? Should you care if you're Pakistani? Or you were
Yeah,
just
because you're
born
born
here. It's not
into
like
it.
you did.
It's complete
Yeah,
random.
but I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know, bro. Like people identify, like I get the rationale behind not being patriotic, but I don't know. Like I think
I'm patriotic, but like, yeah, I just want to
I'm patriotic
clarify
also,
myself.
but like I get the
No,
rationale
it can also be think
behind.
like for patriotism वो भी होता है ना कि for example, let's say you were Jinnah's great grandson. Of course, you're gonna be like, Pakistan is like a huge part of me, and like I need to do work for Pakistan, and I need to help it grow. वगैरह. His daughter was a bitch, but like basically, you get that sense of you get that sense of like मतलब belonging and that idea. You might have developed that idea because that, oh, since my great grandfather worked for this, and then my grandfather worked for this, so it's my duty to
Like
serve this
Sasuke,
community.
What?
like Sasuke, Uchiha. Like you
What's
just
that?
buy into your family's like traditions and ideals, and
Mm.
like if your country is like a extension of your family and community,
What's
so you buy.
Sasuke?
Abe,
Sasuke,
tum chup karo. Okay,
What's
like
that?
Abe, it's from Naruto. But
Oh,
like,
don't watch
but
uncultured.
anime. I don't
but like
watch anime.
you
Don't kill
buy
me.
into your family's condition like values and ideals. So what's wrong in buying into your extension of a family country's like ideas? I don't know. Like I guess like there's no like logical and rational reason to be patriotic, but it's just like human nature, bro. Like
I
you
think it's
watch a
just
World
people
Cup,
have a sense of
you
belonging, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
sense
Like
of belonging.
Belonging,
Yeah,
sense of
you watch a
identity
World
makes
Cup,
them feel.
you like, oh yeah, Pakistan, and like you want them to win, and like so like just bati and it's good. But I guess those same passions can cause problems as well.
One other thing was like small communities and the idea of still having that one main power, that international power. ठीक है? That still does not make sense that much because um each community is going to have their own views. Like for example, what happened recently, right? The forced conversion and the girl being forced to marry what's up.
mm-hmm.
A
Yeah.
lot of people, I bet a lot of people, like the common man what's up, might have agreed with what happened. And let's say there was this international power that goes like, acha yahan masla ho raha hai, we have to fix it. They come in and they try to fix it. The common man will be like, what the hell are you doing? There's nothing wrong that's happening. So there's stuff like that as well. That a lot of problems like that that's gonna happen. Because this type of stuff is happening with this system of a country. So if you even divide it down or is tarah karke, that's gonna be much harder.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
I
like
feel like it's just yeah. Go on.
I was just saying, even stuff like, for example, France and like the Muslim world,
Mm.
France strongly believes in like freedom of speech, and so they don't understand our ideals at all. And like, if there was some type of national government and it imposed like one decision over either of the other two parties, there would be like this conflict.
No
So,
one would
Bolo?
like not everyone would ever be happy. So yeah, like I said in the start, I just feel like it's countries do make it more stable, but it's all like superficial stableness. Now, like it's not like internally like there's so much conflict still happening. So
Okay, one question I have: if the world is, I mean, this is like a guess question, like a hypothetical. Like I don't know, like there's lots of factors that play into it, but like if we colonize other planets and stuff, do you think it's gonna be more like nationalized in public, or do you think it's gonna be like um private, like companies will be the boss of each company, like like planet, colony?
hmm, Elon
Like
Musk just rules the world.
Elon Musk. Like right now, Elon Musk and like Jeff Bezos are both trying to like come in front of space development.
Fuck
But
Bezos,
yeah,
I don't know.
man.
There was talk that Jeff Bezos wanted to use the moon as a storage, like
Yeah.
a
that
storage
that
unit.
guy
As
looks
well.
like a proper villain, yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Bro, I
like
mean,
Lex
so many
Luthor
people
as
No.
well.
defend him.
Have you
Okay,
seen
look,
that video of him using this like a
I
hand to
understand the
Yeah.
rationale behind
Yeah,
defending
yeah,
Elon Musk
yeah,
because like
yeah.
he has so much like charisma and stuff, but like I this is an entire different podcast like topic, but like I don't understand how people like justify. Okay, I don't even want to get into this. Let's. I'm just asking the question. Do you think it's more likely that there will be private colonies, or do you think that there will be like some sort of, or do you think it'll be a mix?
It'll be Shurume, it'll be one main like big thing, but then after that it's gonna go into private colonies. Because let's say I don't like I'm living on Mercury. I don't like this stuff here. Okay, I want to go and live in another planet. I go there and people start shifting a lot us tarah karke. There are going to be a lot of difference in way of thinking. Like for example, one planet I used to live in, I used to love specific aspects of that, and I come to another one, but they don't have that. I want to try to bring that in, and people might agree with that me, people might disagree, and us tarah karke it'll build up to eventually a lot of divide within the community. So it will be ending up like being
Robert,
small
personally,
group.
if
I
I
think
would
it starts
say,
off as private and then
yeah,
it
I would say the
becomes
same
country.
because if you look at
Because
history, when Pakistan, India were colonized, there was like the EIC, it was a
Eastern
private
interest,
company.
yeah.
They colonized this, and then eventually there's just regulations and stuff come in because it becomes so standardized. So I can see something similar happening. Like,
Yeah, that's what I would say also.
नहीं मगर थिंक वो भी होगा ना दोबारा कि because we have a system of countries we colonize the planet. Let's say America is the one who funds a specific thing for like matlab colonizing a specific planet. They're going to send their people there first. They're going to make it, they're going to bring their country into that
like
planet. So
there's
you're
an American
entering,
flag on the moon, right?
yeah, you're entering the planet with that idea of having a country and having like
Yeah,
that superior
exactly.
mindset over them.
Trump has a space force, and do you remember? One of the first things he did when he was inaugurated as president was he created the space force, which is like militarization of space. Um,
Bro, Neptune's aliens, I'm telling you, bro. What bastards they are.
तुम क्या कह रहे हो यार तुम चलो अच्छी बात है good good nice
अच्छी बात है. Yeah, think
Was
cutoff of podcast is coming. This
Yeah,
is
bro,
an
it's been like
episode.
how long?
Yeah, this is an episode I actually liked. This was no, like I
yeah,
liked all of them, but this is one I I found like very interesting.
yeah, this is like one of the most interesting ones, I guess.
Yeah, not talking about killing people, not talking about random shit. Like
bro
this is
I
actually
found that more interesting I
like
I like
Episode 4, guys.
philosophy and stuff more
I
than
mean, I tried to talk about this also.
The thing is that this one I think was a bit more like, calm and intellectual.
Yeah, it was more of a
Yeah, no,
just
like,
like yeah.
Cute. अच्छा चलो बस एंड कर लो खत्म हो जाओ खुदा हाफिज
Office. Thank
Allah
you.
Hafiz. Thank you.